Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the final match. There's 12 teams remaining and only 6 teams can advance to the World Cup. Will Italy miss out on a third straight World Cup? Will some of these underrated teams advance to the World Cup? And will we see some big surprises? That's what I'm going to be talking about in today's video. Yes, in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys my final predictions for the playoff, predicting which 6 teams will advance to the World Cup. And obviously, remember to leave your predictions in the comments down below. In my semi-final predictions, I did get most of them correct, but we also saw a few big upsets, such as Ireland getting knocked out, Wales being knocked out against Bosnia, and for me, the biggest upset, Ukraine losing 3-1 against Sweden. But we have reached the final match, the final hurdle, and this is the decider on which teams will move on to the World Cup. Obviously, I am going to be live for these games, so remember to stay tuned for that live stream on Tuesday. But without further ado, let's get right into these predictions. Starting off with the first match, we have Bosnia and Herzegovina against Italy. This is going to be a really interesting game because I'm pretty sure most people expected Wales to get by Bosnia, but that game did finish 1-1 in full time and went down to penalties. And in penalties, Bosnia actually missed the first penalty, but they ended up coming back and they beat Wales on penalties. That was definitely a big surprise because in my opinion, I do think Wales were the better team, and obviously playing in Cardiff, I feel like most people expected them to win, but that's what we love about football is we see upsets like this, and now Bosnia have a chance to make it to the World Cup. But they are going to have to get by Italy, and in my opinion, that will not be easy at all. I think Italy in that game against Northern Ireland, they were definitely the better team. They showed a lot of great strengths in the attacking, especially in the second half, and I thought they performed very good. Some key players in that first match for Italy were definitely Calafiori on the defensive end, Tonali in the midfield, and Keane up top, in my opinion, was very impressive. I thought he was much better than a player like Retegui. And I feel like Gattuso has a lot of decisions to make because will he play the same formation and same lineup that he did in the first match, or would he change it up a little bit? Will he start Esposito instead of Retegui? Will he maybe start Bastoni on the bench? We'll never know. Bosnia have a good defense, they have a good attack, but I do feel like they are lacking a little bit in that midfield area. So I think this game will really come down to which team does perform better in the midfield, and for that reason I do think Italy will win that battle. So I'm gonna predict a 2-1 win for Italy. Moving on to the next match, we have Czech Republic against Denmark. Denmark got an incredible 4-0 win in the first match against North Macedonia, and at halftime it was 0-0. Even though Denmark were dominating possession, they had way more shots, it was still 0-0, and Macedonia were playing pretty good on the defensive side of things. But in the second half, they completely flipped the switch. Denmark scored 4 goals in that second half. We saw a double by Isaacson within 2 minutes. We also saw a goal from Damsgaard, another goal from Norgard, and they were very clinical in that second half. For me, I can only see Denmark getting this win. I think Czech Republic are a decent team. They have some decent players, especially with Patrick Schick playing in that striker position. I think they will definitely score a goal in this game, but for me, Denmark showed way too much attacking threat in that first match against North Macedonia, and even in the qualifiers, yes, they got beaten by Scotland in that last match day, but throughout the whole qualifiers, they were definitely a good team. They can score many goals, so for that reason, I'm going to predict a 3-1 win for Denmark. Moving on to the next match, we have Kosovo against Turkey. Kosovo beat Slovakia 4-3 in the first match, and it was arguably the most entertaining semi-final playoff match. And I predicted that Kosovo were going to win. I said in my prediction video that Kosovo have incredible attackers with players like Muriki, who's one of the top goal scorers in La Liga. They also have Aslani, who's scoring many goals in the Bundesliga. And obviously, Zagrova didn't play in that first match, but if he does end up playing in this match, if he's fit enough, he is another fantastic player for Kosovo. But against Turkey, they were also really good in that first match against Romania. They only won 1-0, but realistically, they probably could have scored 2 or 3 goals. And for me, the most impressive part of Turkey's team is their attacking players. They have Artukoglu in the striker position, Yildiz and Yilmaz on the wings, and Arda Güler in that attacking midfield position. They're incredible. That 4 in the attack is fantastic, and the way they played against Romania, the amount of times Yildiz and Arda Güler were just completely blowing by the Romania defense on that left side was crazy. But I do think defensively Turkey are susceptible to goals. I don't think they have as good of a defensive lineup that they've had in previous years, and some of the more experienced players didn't actually play in that first match against Romania. So for that reason, I think that could be an area that Kosovo could possibly upset Turkey. Both of these teams are very similar in my opinion. They're very attacking teams. Kosovo have an incredible attack, and the same with Turkey. So I think there could be a lot of goals in this game, but I have to back Turkey. Even though Kosovo are a great team. They showed a great performance against Slovakia. I still think Turkey have more experience, and they definitely want to make it to this World Cup after missing out on so many. So with that being said, I'm going to predict a high scoring result, but I am going to predict Turkey to get the 3-2 victory. And finally, the last UEFA playoff match we have is Sweden against Poland. I didn't expect Sweden to make it this far. I did not think that they were going to get by Ukraine, because Sweden in the qualifiers were so poor. They could barely even win a game. But in that first match against Ukraine, Viktor Gyökeres went crazy. He got a hat trick. He was doing everything for Sweden. And on a Sweden team where they're suffering from so many injuries, so many of their best attackers are currently out with injury, there was a lot of pressure on Viktor Gyökeres to perform, and he 100% performed. Ukraine defensively were very poor, and Sweden won 3-1. But Poland also had a pretty good performance against Albania. They ended up winning 2-1. We saw a goal from Lewandowski, and we also saw a later goal from Zielinski. But I didn't think Poland were the best defensively. Obviously, they went down 1-0 to Albania after an early goal from them, and they really struggled to get back into the game and get the equalizer and the final winner. But that's the thing with Poland that a lot of these other UEFA playoff teams don't have, is they have proven match winners. They have players like Lewandowski. They have players like Zielinski, world-class players, experienced players that can do it, whether it's in the first minute or in the last minute. And that's what they showed us against Albania. And this is going to be a really close match. I don't have any trust in Sweden due to how poor they were in the qualifiers. But after that game against Ukraine, they showed me something that I definitely did not expect from them. After full time, I'm going to predict a 2-2 draw. I think this is going to be a really close game, a very back and forth type of fixture. And I think this game could go down to penalties, where I think Sweden might upset Poland. Yeah, I'm going to say it. I'm going to completely do a 180. I think Sweden will advance to the World Cup. Moving on to the intercontinental playoffs, the first match we have is DR Congo against Jamaica. For me, this is an easy prediction. I think DR Congo will easily win this game. Jamaica in the qualifiers were so poor. We saw them get poor results against Curacao, against Trinidad and Tobago, and these are teams that a country like Jamaica should always be beating. Jamaica are a very historic country in the CONCACAF, and they have decent players. They have some very good players. And in that match against New Caledonia, they only won 1-0, and New Caledonia actually had chances. They had a decent amount of possession. They played pretty good against Jamaica, and on another day, New Caledonia maybe could have got a result from that game. Now, obviously, Jamaica didn't start their best players, and they did bring on some of their better players later on in the match, because obviously they wanted to save some of their energy for this match against DR Congo. But I still don't think it was that good of a performance by Jamaica. When if you look at DR Congo, I think they are a fantastic team. I think they're definitely a top 5, top 6 team in Africa. I think they're really good. They have a great attack, they have a great midfield, and their defense is very solid. And Mbemba, in my opinion, is a great captain for them. And I think this game against Jamaica will show us why DR Congo deserves to be in the World Cup. And finally, the last match we have is Iraq against Bolivia. I predicted them to get the win, and they did in fact get the win. And a lot of people were saying that if Bolivia aren't playing at El Alto, that they're not that good of a team. But they still have some proven players. And yes, their away record isn't very good, but I think they could still give Iraq a good game. Bolivia have a decent defense, and in my opinion, their star player Tercero in the attack, he's definitely a great up-and-coming Bolivian player. He's only 21 years old, and I think he's a fantastic winger, and he definitely has the capabilities to score a goal in this game. But I'm still going to predict Iraq to get the win. I think this could be a very close game. It could even go to added time. It might even go to penalties, but I feel like Iraq will be able to get the job done. I feel like Iraq has gone through so much in the qualifiers. Obviously, they had to face UAE in those last matches to get to this point, and they did end up beating UAE in the last few minutes of the game. I think Iraq have a good manager in Graham Arnold. Is he the best manager? No, but he definitely has the experience, and I think he will be able to take this team to the World Cup. So with that being said, I'm going to predict Iraq to beat Bolivia 2-1, and they will advance to the 2026 World Cup. And that's the end of this video. Those were my final predictions for the 2026 World Cup playoff games. The 6 teams that I think will advance to the World Cup is Italy, Denmark, Turkey, Sweden, DR Congo, and also Iraq. If you guys agree with my predictions, remember to leave a comment down below, and obviously stay tuned for my live stream that I will be doing for these final games. And obviously, if you did enjoy this video, remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and stay tuned for more videos.